formats of retail. The good part when it comes to a discussion like this is we are all consumers as well, right? We may be representing different brands, we may be sitting here talking devising strategy for our own brands, but at the same time we are all consumers of all these different products and by am I audible?
Yes.
Yeah, it's there.
And there were some lovely discussions, lovely perspectives that came in. My own thing, I would say, and would love to have your thoughts as well. For us in India at least, both online and offline is here to stay, right? Convenience is online for me, retail therapy is offline, right? I would never, the look and feel of actually going, trying out stuff, looking at all of those things displayed in a beautiful fashion. I don't think online selling can replace that. But at the same time, there are things that I need just now. I want them to be available when I need it, and that's where I think online comes in. What we are also seeing is, while everybody wants to do it, it's a tough balance. It's a tough balance to ensure. We were talking about cost of acquisition, which is so high in the online channel. We are seeing so many newer brands that are more online, and hence, the competition I feel is much more higher there. Unless there is brand affinity, if today on my Insta page there will be at least 5 different brands that I don't know of who are showing off their products, right? So how do retailers ensure that they are capturing the right attention on this channel, plus getting the right footfall in their offline channels is something which is very interesting. Would love to hear everybody's thoughts on that as well. We will touch upon AI. I think that's again a buzzword today, which is very real. So it's not just it's not a fad, I would say. It will be very imperative on how we partner, and this is where I see tech companies and retailers actually partnering together to create those solutions for each individual brand, which makes sense, right? So again, I was talking about in the session from high-end retail, which would mean that the footfall is not that high, where maybe the experience that's coming in is more important, to something where we are seeing it's more about how do I manage the queue, right? Experience is not that important. I don't even want to possibly capture the phone number, because what matters to me is how fast my shelves are clearing up, right? And then we stocking those. So we in India we are in a unique position where we have both ends of the spectrum. We have to sort of cater to both, and both are equally important. So those are some things that we will touch upon. Would love to hear your thoughts as well. Please feel free to come in wherever, but I do have questions for each one of you. What we can do is we'll kickstart with a quick round of introduction for everybody, maybe just 30 seconds of who you are, what you do at your respective brands, and then we have Kushal also share some thoughts on how you feel the retail industry is shaping up.
Sure.
Everyone, great to be here. Thanks a lot for this opportunity. I'm Kushal, Sinha. I'm a partner with Strategy and PwC. So complicated, large word, but it's essentially strategy consulting wing of PwC. I largely lead the retail and e-commerce practice here in India, which goes across the back in industry as well. Primarily focusing on helping brands, especially offline brands or offline specific brands, to really scale up online in a meaningful way. At the same time, doing everything else to make sure revenue is profitable and sustainable over a long period of time, and building our brand. So that's typically what we do and then brands will. Happy to be here and happy to see you guys.
Thanks, Kushal. So my name is Singh, and I work with Farm India as market region head. Take care of retail sales and operations north. Almost 6 years in Farm India. I started Farm India journey as a menswear head. Now, from last 3 years, I'm taking care of retail operations.
Thanks, Raj. My name is Manish Asthana. I'm the CEO for NewU, which is a 100% subsidiary of Dabur. It's a retail arm for Dabur. We house international, national favorite beauty brands in our store. So it's more of cosmetic, beauty, and personal care. And we are present across 50 cities in India, so we are spread by the length and breadth of the country. So it would be interesting to hear everybody and what is the new practices, because everybody is looking for customers, and so are we.
Thanks, Manish. Hi, myself Jatin, Jatin Sikka, and I look after Blackberrys. As a franchisee business, I look after adding franchisee business for India. So as far as brand is concerned, we are a menswear brand, and knowing for fit majority for men. And if I talk about, we are at expansion and everyone is expanding right now in retail segment. So we are into like online to offline and offline to online, like Omni design. That's what I have, and we are in the journey of that. So basically, consumer base is totally changing. Earlier, it was a different segment of consumers which were coming, and now it is changing ahead. And they are, I think, for us, how we are looking at it, they are changing in terms of behavior, in terms of they need consumer experience, the best experience in the industry. And I'm here to like listen to all of you and let me have something which is positive and which comes for me to grow in terms of business. Thanks.
Thank you. Is there a microphone? Sorry, I didn't catch your name. Okay.
So we are, this is of course the we have audit systems transferred to the airport and serve different verticals. We are also present in the metro. So this is a different market vertical in the metro and different airports where we have to align with the airport authority and airport operator and GMR, Shyam, medical operators.
So, I'm Vikram. I'm CFO for the business in India. So we have a retail outlet at airport, basically New Delhi, Kolkata, Hyderabad, Kochi, Bangalore, and the metro station location. So we are basically travel industry. So we have almost 80 stores right now, and dealing in a product like FMCG and digital JSI, that is also basically content like below digital accessories and drink, you can say water, high-end water and chocolate.
Yeah, we've all shocked while coming out of the airport, so that's
So,
especially the water.
so as we say, in a drink category, we have a contribution of almost 20% in the entire business.
We would love to know from you how you manage to sell such expensive water. We end up buying.
It's a secret sauce.
Basically, we are trying to make available the new product to the consumer, and the worldwide the best product available we are trying to available at airport. So that's the motive. So customer get high-end water, high-end drink, high-end chocolate, high-end digital accessories, and high-end neck pillows, and book. Basically, we are almost 15% of my category. So
Sure. Thank you.
So hi everyone, my name is Customer-Centricity. Thank you for having me here. I represent Apparel Group, which is a GCC-based organization based or headquartered out of Dubai, and in India we have a subsidiary by the name of Apparel Group India Private Limited. We operate at a global level. We operate close to around 75 odd brands, close to around 2,000 plus stores. Possibly I've lost count now, but yes, 2,000 plus. In India, we have 12 brands currently active, 2 JVs that we are into. This is primarily Tim Hortons and Daiso. These are the JVs that we have. Other than that, we have 12 other brands. Some of them you would know. Brands like Bath and Body Works, Victoria's Secret, Aldo, Charles & Keith, BHBC, and the list goes on. We have our own department store chain by the name of Manmeet. I work in capacity of general manager for onboarding new businesses as well as working closely with new partners and new channel partners as well. So it's been a decade that I've operated out of Dubai, India, come after a long time, and it's interesting to see the whole new India story, especially after the pandemic. I look forward to a lot of insights here, and glad to know that there are quite a few airport people because we have quite a few brands which we can carry from the airport. And yeah, so that's pretty much it.
Thank you so much. Thanks, Sachin.
We are master concessionaires. We operate brands, QSR brands also. We take them on a franchise, and run Domino's, KFC, all these brands are franchise with us. And we have our own set of brands, and we are major launch operators across other airports other than Delhi. So I think airport F&B is a very, very dynamic business, and it's a never shut shop business. So we don't close store at any point of time, and that 24-hour business, how we're going to evolve and how we're going to take, because you have a captive audience at the airport, both on the international and domestic side. So how do you kind of get the maximum penetration out of them, or the maximum sales per pax, which we are talking about? These are some KPIs which we talk about with the airport operators and all. So I think it's going to be a good discussion to understand that how tech can really help us capture our customers, more and more customers, into our passengers who are flying out of the airports. So that is something which we're looking at. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello everyone, my name is Rahul Khan, in the role of CFO at Madam. It's a reputed brand in women's wear, fast fashion industry here. So I am part of the digital transformation initiatives of the company and very much interested in this session. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Rahul.
Hi, good afternoon everyone. So I'm Saurabh. I'm an executive director in PwC India. Again, extremely focused on the retail industry. Really feel very comfortable here. The kind of conversations, I would say 60% of my job role is to work with retailers like many of you. And I'm really looking forward to this conversation, understand what's going on in your mind and how we could possibly learn more and align more. I always feel this is cutting edge of you're literally out there with the consumers 24/7, as you said. It can't be anything better than retail when it comes to the industry. So looking forward. Thanks for the opportunity.
Thank you so much, Saurabh. Right, so we're looking forward to a very interesting discussion. But my first thing would be on this multi-channel, omni-channel experience, right? How are you all looking at it? And what are some of the strategies that you are putting together to actually make it real? What are some of the challenges that you are seeing to sort of get the right kind of returns that are there in the online channel, and how do you ensure footfall into your offline channel, right? So multi questions, but largely on the omni-channel thing. And Sachin, if you could kickstart and tell, because again, being an extensive shopper myself, I can say, like, Aldo or everything, there's there's a good amount of presence that you have online, plus obviously offline sales. And after that, Raj, I'm going to come to you because Fab India, I'm sure, is doing fab work in managing local channels.
So first of all, I'm glad to know that you are a customer, and I believe we are your customer too.
Yes.
So we use your point of sale system. So there has been challenges. I would say that we've been primarily a traditional retailer. Our whole thought process for the longest time had been in traditional retail. Culturally, we were always built to operate offline businesses. All the partners that we worked with initially when we started back in GCC, offline businesses was the key. E-commerce had not even picked up back then, not so much so in GCC, but it was fairly existing in India. Pandemic changed a lot of things. I was speaking before this meeting. The pandemic changed a lot of things. It gave us a lot of realization in terms of how big this business can be. We have, as an organization, we are fairly young and we keep evolving all the time, and we keep calling ourselves as a startup even after 23 years, because that's the way I think we keep learning things and new things. And a lot of it comes as best practices since we work with close to around 75 odd brands. Obviously, these practices are coming from there, which we try and consolidate, and we build it into our culture. Like I said, pandemic was where things started moving for us in the e-commerce space. We saw a huge surge in the business, obviously because offline was not operating back then. But having said that, that momentum has stayed with us. And that momentum has only been growing. Omnichannel being one of the big areas of discussion when it comes to digital businesses, we have very successfully integrated Omnichannel into some of our businesses. Last month, which is supposed to be the biggest month in terms of e-commerce with Black Friday and Singles Day and a lot of other things happening, I would say one big realization that we had is that you do not create any kind of dissonance through any kind of price parity across channels. That has been a big learning. And when we did our Black Friday this time, although we did go aggressive and we did go deep, we did have a very, very strong response in our offline stores. Not only in our own e-commerce or the third-party marketplaces, but we did have a very strong response in the offline space also. We had one of, although it was a difficult quarter, but I think November was one of our best months that we had, primarily driven through this. So this integration was extremely important, and it has worked in our favor, where omnichannel experience was given to all our consumers. And there was price parity, be it discount offers, promotions that we ran. Other than that, operationally, there has been a lot of learning over the last 3-4 years. The first Black Friday omnichannel experience we had was quite an experience because order fulfillment had become a big issue. We got tons of orders and we didn't know how to fulfill, and the lead times had become fairly high. Now, over the years, that experience has helped a lot. This time when we did it, we ensured that all our deliveries will be any number of deliveries. We ensured that the customer got their product within 3 to 4 days maximum. So that was, so when we talk about e-commerce, and like you said earlier, offline is all about touch, feel, experience and all that. And when it comes to e-commerce, the dynamics changes quite significantly because there it is primarily about price and convenience. We brought both of these things together and ensured that there is convenience, they get product on time, their returns are picked up on time, there is price parity at any given point of time. And lastly is an experience that we had is how important content was in terms of having the right photography. We had to significantly improve on our overall product experience that we gave through these e-commerce channels, where we had to change a lot of photography just to make it a little bit more aspirational for our consumers. So, all in all, I think things don't end there. It's a continuous learning process, and we do take our experiences from the offline space also in terms of understanding what that consumer wants, what is the kind of customer. So we talk a lot about Gen Z. Recently, I attended a marketplace which only kept talking about Gen Z. The entire event was revolved around Gen Z. So e-commerce does bring in a new consumer every day, but at the same time, offline is important because we do not want to resonate with those customers who have been privately our audience for the longest time. And like Gen Z is the new buzzword which we keep talking about, but I cannot alienate my 90% customers. So we have to have that that blend, and like the session says, balancing between the two. So at any given point of time, we ensure that e-commerce doesn't supersede a certain percentage contribution. We increase the pie and ensure that the contribution stays as much. So yeah.
And it might be the same customer who's there both, right?
Oh yeah,
Usually
yeah.
this.
So omnichannel experience does give that. But so again, it is a practice now, and I think all of us do. Is the first thing we see a product. When you see a 20,000 Aldo shoe, the first thing you see is what's going on Myntra, and that's helped us a lot because that price parity is way important. That customer is going to lose in your offline store the minute they see a 60% discount for a same shoe running on a Myntra or a Flipkart or another site.
I'm sure.
So that was a big learning, and I think we have absolutely even if it's an outright brand with any of the e-commerce partners, we ensure the markdowns are in our controls. There are a lot of other benefits of doing that, but primarily you do not want to alienate your customer in both the
And that points to even the customer experience, right? This will impact customer experience in a big way because when you are going and buying a brand like Aldo or Charles & Keith, or there is a specific shoe that one is going for.
Absolutely.
And it's not like a similar looking thing. So good.
What works with e-commerce, I gladly feel, is the way you want to present your content. And we had some celebrity collaborations that we did for some of our brands. Janvi Kapoor, and now Aditya Roy Kapoor, after night manager, Aditya Roy Kapoor became popular, and I think men's was a concern for one of the brands, and I think that has helped a lot. I mean, I always had two minds about how much a celebrity helps. My overall thinking has changed as long as you have the right celebrity collaboration.
Got it. Thanks for that. Raj, coming to you, right? I think very similar. You will have to balance. Balancing between online, offline, what are challenges? Online, I know there is so much digital advertising that's happening. What do you really do to get footfall in your offline stores? What are some of the strategies that are working?
Vishakha, so in Far India, and it all depends on the foundation of the company. We started some 63 years ago, right? And before pandemic, Jatin, you mentioned that before pandemic, the focus was, of course, that was on TFE. And the kind of business we have, it is more handcrafted, hand done. We have limitations in terms of manufacturing quantity. Whatever is artisanal product comes in a limited quantity. And when we expanded the number of stores, we have somewhere around 370 stores in India. There are situations of stockouts, side stockouts. That's a big challenge. So last year only we tied up with a Omnichannel partner, and we are doing that as an ASM, that's a assisted shopping module, and any size out is there, stock out. So the person the customer specifically see it on the ERP system on Wonder software where it is present, and they try to ship it by only. So it takes 3 to 4 days. That is there, but we don't want to lose customers, right? Second part is
we were focusing more on the offline personalization before pandemic. We were conducting a lot of coffee with customer meetings where the customer used to come and product team plus retail team used to meet them. That was kind of voice of customers, understand their needs, requirements, and we were taking informed decisions. What is happening in customers' mindset? But post pandemic, we started focusing more on online, and we thought of we tried our white glove service. We also got into WhatsApp shopping, and then we tried that the personalization to Omni and the segmentation, whatever. And we started our loyalty program just during pandemic also, and in that what we captured is how many are occasional customers, who is a craft lover who's coming 9 to 12 times to shop with us. So when all the content that started coming in and during analysis that was done, and this was also integrated with some kind of automation in the system, that personalized SMSs, those were sent to these customers that hey, this is the new craft that is coming, and those were relevant contents to these guys. So focus was more on the personalized experience, more on personalized content. That's what we are working on. However, offline is definitely important. So recently we started our Fab 1, which is kind of a concierge in our flagship stores. So any customer who is our black tier customer, they can have personalized shopping assistance. There are priority billing that can be done through that. We have our IDS, so best of the designer can assist for interior design solutions. Something. I mean, which is more, again, I would say, personalized experiences. So that's what Patanjali is focusing on.
Very interesting point actually, because whenever we talk about personalization, it has largely been in context of digital content, digital data. How are you sending some of more on the web? And I think you touched upon offline personalization, which I think is a very interesting thing, and there's a lot of hard work that will go into sort of doing that, right? Because you're collecting information through these focus groups and all of that.
Absolutely. So our customers are RTG is someone who would like to come to store, who would like to interact with a person. They want a face. They don't want a voice. Right? So somebody who is at the store and hey, this is the person I have to meet whenever I have to get any solution or call this person.
Thanks. Kushal, what are your thoughts? You must be working across with multiple different retailers, with some of these similar thought process, challenges, balancing this out, the biggest thing that they are talking about. So, do you want to share some?
Yeah, no, absolutely. Thanks a lot. So, I actually missed out, you mentioned just to, and I'll take some time to just lay out the customer-centricity bit that you asked me to, right? So, if you really ask, the entire term customer-centricity, Omnichannel has really gained popularity in the post-COVID and become buzzwords. But if you really go back and see, and especially as my personal take, customer has always been centric. Customer has always sought centricity for themselves. And if I take parallel and pre-industrialization, people would walk out of their houses, they would go to the tailor next door, the artisan next door, tell them what I want to get done, what I want to get built out, and get that really customized product for themselves there, right? It is only after industrialization is when we really when brands and retailers really started pushing out my product, my marketing at scale, and started telling the customers to say that, this is the right stuff for you, so you take it. And we are making it accessible to all points, so you take it. So in many ways, post-industrialization really changed that customer behavior because we conditioned them to be so. Now what's really happening, and for me, both the COVID and the digital disruption, as well as the AI disruption, which is going to be as pivotal as the industrialization bit, because now, from a customer standpoint, there are enough and many brands coming up, and India is still brand parched and brand deficit, and we can go into that, but there are more and enough brands coming in, more and enough optionality really coming in, and the customer is now coming and saying, okay, who's the brand who's talking to me? Who's the brand who's understanding or taking that time out to understand what I need? Or even giving me that form factor reading, and therefore sort of start relating to it. Now, what I've seen is because we've been doing that bit of retail for so long, a lot of retail companies have been more inward in focus. In terms of, for them, product is the king, and marketing and accessibility and scale is the way to go. And suddenly here there is the customer who's become so prominent, aware, and asking questions to the brand. And therefore, brands have to now reach out and start building up capabilities which are not really their true self, of first identifying who the customer is. Right? Raj mentioned, we started segmenting who the customer is. And this customer is not just the one who's interacting with them online, but actually working offline. And offline is far more stickier, important customer, and you have to understand and put them and figure out who these customers really are and why they're coming from.
The expectations are also higher.
The expectations are much higher when you come. You've taken the time out to walk out of a home and pick amongst so many stores, your store, and walk in. The expectations are much more higher, right? So you really have to understand that. And all of that requires is, of course, the ability to identify the customer, and the customer is, again, it's huge dynamic, everybody has different expectations, and that's where the complexity starts coming in. And what, in many ways, I believe data and AI can truly do is actually plug and play these fundamental gaps that retailers and brands have to be able to do this seamlessly without throwing time, effort, people into it. They continue to do their core, but they start building this as well. And all the way from, starting from the entire journey, which is identification, discovery, pre-purchase, purchase, post-purchase, and then building all the way to advocacy. There are many things a brand can do, and both Sachin and Raj pinpointed on many of those. And I'm not getting into details of that, but for me, that is sort of the game changer in terms of how brands really start building out and seeing what is most relevant for me. Not just from a front-end customer standpoint, but also being able to improve my back-end to be able to support that front-end. Right? And a lot of those capabilities is very difficult to build out, but can be automated, built sequentially, and that's where really AI comes in.
No, thanks for that. And I think that was a very interesting perspective. We followed a curve you were saying, where the personalization was core to everything. Everything was done keeping customer at the center. Then we went through that entire cycle where probably didn't matter. It was more product centric. What am I building? What am I shipping? What am I making available to? Again, a point where we want to know the consumer more. And I'll come to Manish with that, and on the customer centricity part, where do you see this playing a role, right? Let's say NewU again, there are multi-brands, there are all sorts of consumers coming in. How have you really thought about building this? And there's a lot of cosmetic that's happening online as well with the likes of Nykaa, where there are individual brands that people go to. What are you seeing very unique to ensuring that your customers get the intended experience? And when I'm saying intended, it could be, like Kushal said, right? Different brands have their own strategy. What's your strategy?
So, while there are a lot of challenges once you are a multi-brand outlet, and when you are not controlling the content which is flowing and not controlling the price, like Sachin had mentioned, that they are able to control their price. When you are a multi-brand outlet and when the principals are directly dealing with all the channels, then the price discounting happens, and of course you have a dissatisfied customer in a physical retail store, because if the price difference is there, they will quickly check and then move out. So what we are doing is, of course, with all our principles, we are also trying to get into a dynamic pricing, where if at all there is a price difference, the customer would be given the same price. So firstly, that satisfaction has to come that they are not cheated on prices, because these are all brands and they have MRPs. It's not that they are not they have a retail price and you can have any kind of discounting. So that is the first thing. Secondly, of course, there's a lot of content. Why, and the plethora of brands which are entering India. There are a lot of new age Indian brands which are coming into beauty. Now, all of them are giving a lot of content. So what has suddenly happened is that the customer is getting very younger. They are getting very demanding. They know exactly what they want. It's not what was available at home and they're using the same creams. They know the entire regime. They want to know what are the efficacies of the product which is lying in the store. They want, does it have hyaluronic? Does it have salicylic? Does it have glycolic? What is the impact of the product? So what has changed significantly is also the staff training levels in the store. Because if they are not able to communicate better than what the content is already available online, then again you will not give the same kind of experience. Of course, the biggest part is that a serious buyer will still come to a retail store no matter. I know AI has given a lot of convenience of try-ons, but if there is a serious buying, suppose for marriage or anything, they will always end up on physical store, because you can never have lack of that experience to see exactly how it would look on you. So that is still there. So that is the areas we are working on, giving that satisfaction, giving free makeovers, give to our platinum customers, because everybody is running around with loyalty programs. So how well you are able to work on your loyalty program, because customer acquisition is becoming costlier by the day. So when you work with your same loyal customers, of course, it gives you 3 times the return. That's a data which is available. So what we do is we do free sampling with them. We send them free samples. We give them free makeovers. We call them for occasional free shopping where there are a lot of gifting for them. So these are certain experiences we have started to do. Also, in the look and feel of the store, we have started to have a standardized kind of content available, so that they have that same feeling across, even if they go online, offline. So they should get a similar kind of understanding what that product would do. So lot of corrections are happening, things are changing. So that is where we are correcting ourselves. We are correcting the way displays are happening in the store. The content is far more there. Earlier it used to be a normal packaging. So people there, even the customers are aware about what is eco-friendly, what is sustainable packaging. So they are ready to pay extra price for that today. So so if you are housing over 300 brands, there are 400 SKUs. If in a single shelf there are multi brands where you have to stand out in 5 to 7 seconds of a site, you have to be different. So all that things in a store, how do you stand out? What kind of planogramming has to go? That all is now being looked at to through an AI perspective, that okay, what should come where through a heat mapping or a camera device. So all these areas is where we are working right now.
I think very insightful when you said about this, the awareness of consumers, right? And I think
Absolutely.
that degree where, and that would mean a lot of coaching that you have to do for your staff, and some of it could be brand staff as well, right? That they
Absolutely. So
how much control would you have?
So brand stuff, what we do is, because there are a lot of new arrivals every day, so you can't have one staff doing the same thing. So each brand, because they have so much of new NPDs coming up on regular basis, so they train their staff. What we ensure at our store, that they have a certain level, they have an understanding of whatever product is being put on the shelf. So we check with them. So that's the job of cluster manager, store manager, to interview them before, and whenever the product arrives, they check with the staff whether they are fully aware of what are the efficacies and how does the new product work. So these are things which are done on the store on regular basis, because otherwise the product won't sell if they are not able to even communicate what exactly it is supposed to do.
And it might have impact on your brand as well, right? As NewU.
Absolutely. So
People do not associate whether it was a Maybelline thing that didn't work out for me.
absolutely.
I went into a NewU store.
Yeah, absolutely. So end of the day, it's our brand which is at stake when somebody is entering, and we are the people who are responsible and accountable for any customer experience inside us. So we have to ensure that whatever experience happen, and that there we take the forefront in taking the responsibility. If there is any dissatisfied, disgruntled customer who comes in with any complaint, it is our, of course, our thing to take it right away and correct it. So we don't have to wait for any brand to give any approvals at the store level. So.
Thank you for that. And with that, Rahul, I'll come to you again. Madam, a renowned brand has been there for a long, long time. We were just thinking and talking about how the segmentation has worked for you. How are you ensuring that people are getting the right kind of experience when they are walking into a Madame store? And also, if you would want to touch upon, because that's the next topic I'll get into, is how do you manage the distribution network as well? Because Madame clothes would be available in other multi-brand stores as well, right? So how do you kind of manage a balance between these two channels for your own stores, maybe franchisees, as well as the other stores where you have to ensure your product reaches?
Yeah, based on various past experiences and the learnings we had, so we had designed our internal systems and processes in such a manner that we cater to these requirements. However, with the changing times and the requirements of the industry to move towards the omni-channel and the online segment, we are also transitioning to that. And for that, we are actively looking at adoption of the technology. And in fact, we have partnered with Microsoft for that particular aspect. And we are soon going to activate those things. So this is how we are going to do it. And also, since the distribution between our own stores and the channels and the other franchisees also is there. So with the technology adoption, we will be taking care of this aspect also. How do we do it? How do we do the requisitioning, planning, distribution? All those aspects will be taken care of. In terms of customer experience in these stores, so again, it depends how you train your store staff to handle the customer. It all depends in initial few minutes whether the customer who has entered the store, has he been attended to, his requirements are or her requirements are being taken care of, is the store personnel who are handling or attending to the customer understand the requirements with which the customer has walked into the store. So those are the aspects for which we regularly keep training our store personnel.
Thank you. And I just, take a little bit of a segue into this entire distribution part as well. And that's where, Jatin, I'm going to come to you because, again, Blackberry would be supplying to other places as well, right? How do you see that channel working for you? What are some of the technology helps or interventions do you think would be helpful?
If I say you are talking about MBO channels, basically, distribution is comes under MBO. So there is a channel like one is MBO, one is company owned, one is franchisee. So we are dealing in all the channels. In fact, we are dealing in online as well. So if I'll talk about MBO channel, that's a totally different behavior in terms of we have certain criteria as well as we can say certain limitations because ownership is someone else is having. There we are getting like consumer base plus experience which is matters like everyone is saying about the experience. So there is a system like we are following up. We are having our CCA, you can say customer associates, who is handling the customers there as well and giving the same experience which we are providing it in our company owned store or franchisee owned store. So our leader, like learning and development teams is working on it and they are like regularly touch base for the trainings in terms of 1 hour training or a complete session. That is helping us. And if I say product and the view of the store, we are working on that as well. If a consumer is going to a Blackberry's own store, there he will get a Blackberry's board outside of the store. But when it is coming around like MBO, we have a shop and shop kind of things which we are working on it, and it is around I think 500 plus stores now counters, which we are working already.
And do you also supply to, let's say, these would be, I'm assuming, let's say, likes of a shopper stop, right? But are
Large
you
format.
also supplying to a little smaller format, let's say?
Yeah, that's a MBO which I am talking about.
That also you call it.
Shopper stop and this thing is coming under large format store.
Saurabh, I'll come and take your views on this, and this is a segue again on the distribution part of it. I mean, you would be working with customers where there is their own retail, there is franchising, they have manufacturing. In the panel, we were talking about Subata was there, Liberty was there. Liberty specifically, the thought was that there's a lot of effort that goes into that manufacturing part, and then ensuring that the product actually reaches the right touch points in the offline as well as online network. So any thoughts on how you are seeing retailers are trying to balance both of this, where they are selling themselves through franchisees and through these MBOs or other smaller shops, and ensuring availability? And how do you see, let's say, the likes of PwC and other techs like Microsoft playing a part there?
And before I get to this question, just a comment on the customer centricity. I think it's at the heart of the entire discussion. Uh, I was just taking some notes. I think we are in a touchscreen generation. It's not easy. I mean, the expectations are rising. And relating to your question, it's at the end of the day, it's all about meeting the customer requirement. And the beauty about this business is that I'm also a customer. In fact, I'm a customer of most of you, right? So, some bit I understand, have very little patience. So, the ability to have access to the last mile of the inventory, right? Ability to really see, like you said, there's so many formats, channels that you have. You would love to have that access in real time. That's the holy grail of, and whether it's FMCG and especially in retail, customer facing organizations, this is of immense importance. You don't want the customer to go empty handed. Even if you don't have it, in stock, there's the concept of endless aisles. So the ability there, you could ship it very quickly. So which requires a deep, I would say, technology backbone, and that's where technologies from Microsoft and players like us come into the picture, where we work very closely, help you establish that entire distribution management system, wherein you would have access to the online inventory from a real-time point of view, so that you could power your consumers with the omni-channel experience. Able to serve him with his kind of demanding him or her. Because if you lose the moment, and if we think about it, even the channels are increasing, right? So now we have Instagram. There are examples where, especially in China, there is this, people are selling online in real time. I have seen in my own house, my wife actually buying stuff via Instagram. I didn't know that existed as a channel. So much of new creativity. So coming back to the technology aspect of it, it's of immense importance to have a solid backbone, ability to have platforms that are built in a manner that could support this whole omni-channel ask, would be a very big differentiator.
Thank you. And from you want to say? Yeah, sure.
Yeah. So just one point here, because we're talking about franchise, right? And franchising in India is actually a very sought after asset-light way of scaling up and doing network expansion, right? And what really is important to understand is this going on to demand sensing. What we're trying to see is that a lot of brands themselves struggle to be able to understand what my customer is buying my product for. And thinking that the franchisee will have a better understanding of that is actually a bigger issue, right? And especially when you're expanding through franchisee, especially in different geographies, different locations, the complexity even becomes difficult to. And here is a franchisee who's putting upfront money, and you really want them to succeed. And that is where a lot of, if you do that, what Saurabh was saying, that data understanding catchment, price point of different regions well, you should be able to provide, okay, if I'm opening a franchise, if the franchisee is being opened at, say, a tier 2 district in Chhattisgarh versus a tier 1 district in Chhattisgarh, there is a different set of products I would be sending there versus here. While, of course, keeping the experience and this layout, the planograms, sort of the touch and feel similar, but the merchandise can be significantly different. And that demand sensing as well as creating that supply chain value chain to be able to cater to that is where the value lies for your franchisee to do where I need to do it.
Yeah. In fact, just a point on this, and again we are seeing this as a trend, as a ask is now that when these franchisees are ensuring things are there, but how quickly they can be up and running, right? So one part of it, which is the core content, that will take time. All of this intelligence coming in, what should be displayed where, but how easy it is for me. Do I have to like get a full network laid out, and how much time is it really going to take me to get them technically up and running is also something that we are seeing as a demand from a lot of retailers that we are working with. From apparel and shoes, I will move into food and water now. So coming to you, Manmeet, share some of these unique challenges that you face, because you are operating so many different brands just under that ambit of being at the airports, right? So what are some of the unique challenges you see? Do you see when consumers walk up to, let's say, you operate Pizza Hut stores as well, right? Yeah. Anything which will be there at the airport is operated by you. What is it that they are thinking of? Like, are you thinking of giving consumers the experience that they associate with each brand, or it's more about standardizing it? Is it more complex for you than the others here?
So basically, the dynamics at the airport are, he's on the international side, he's spent 1 lakh rupees on an international ticket, or a domestic guy who's spent 3,000 to 20,000 on a domestic flight. Now, the major challenge, in fact, the major thing what happens here in the airport business is like that you have a defined PAX which is coming into your airport every day. That this is the departing PAX, and 50% of that PAX is also arriving also. So these are the basic KPIs of the airport which are there. And when I talk about so being at the right place at the airport is going to be very important. So when you are at the SHA, which is the security hold area, if your outlets are in the right positioning over there, then you get the best chunk of the business. So you kind of place your outlets in a way that you have your premium outlets in the SHA. And then that's where the people who are coming to the airport to eat will go to those outlets. When it comes to doing if I talk about the Bangalore airport, T2 airport, which is newly opened up, which does not have any QSR in it. So it's only got the premium brands in it. So they have also experimented with that, and they are kind of successful. So there are some 20 odd outlets over there. Out of that, 10 outlets we are running, and you see all the international brands over there. So even Jamie's Pizzeria is there, James Martin Kitchen is there. So these are all premium brands, and they've been working well. So I think it is more about positioning your outlets at the airport. That's where the airport operator also plays a very important role in giving you those locations. And then the most important part, 55% passengers are still not having anything at the airport and leaving. So that is the biggest pie which you really have to get to. And that's where the positioning of the outlets is very important, that you start with the premium outlets, then you go into the less ticket size outlets, which is if I talk about our outlet in Delhi, in the Delhi T3 airport, Delhi Street, it's a flagship store. So it's an outlet which does around a ticket size of 700, 800 rupees, and it is a multi-cuisine offer. So you get a chole bhature also there, you get a chicken tikka also there, there's a bar also inside it. So we try to cater to that entire setup. And the moment you move toward the piers, the gates, that's where the QSR placement happens, or you place the QSR at one level above, which is the food court. That's where you see that the passengers, that 55% passengers who are not willing to spend will come over there. So this is how it is very important, that how do you kind of place your outlets at the airport. And that is the biggest challenge which we face with, because the kind of revenue shares which we are paying, and that's why you were asking Mukul that how do you sell that water for 100 rupees and even for 200 rupees. And so that is the key there. So you have differential pricing at the airport for that, and people, and in fact, leaving, I don't talk about Delhi airport. If I talk about other airports, we have gone into dynamic pricing also. When the rush is there, when when a lot of people are, when it's the season time, and then you kind of tweak your prices, you take the pricing slightly up, and when you have the low, when the low footfalls are there, you kind of take your pricing down. So that is how you kind of, you're going to evolve, and you're going to make margins, and you're going to survive in that airport. So that is very, very important, because so it plays.
In your case, it's largely about operations and how do you really manage
Yes.
to get
So
at the right place so that you get the right customer.
so right now it's fog time, winters. You don't know which flight is going to get delayed when. And in a day, you might be serving 5,000 passengers, delay meals also. So you need to be ready for that. Because there's an airport operator in between, you're there in between, and then the airlines are also there. So they seek a commitment from you. So I think the way so airport operations is like you switch on, switch off. So you just change you shift gears in your operations. And we did a very good initiative at the Delhi airport, which got replicated at other airports. We started off with food at gates, which was targeting that 55% audience who is sitting at the gate and not ordering. So we had a team who would take a tab, take orders, get that food delivered to them. Unfortunately, security reasons, that got scrapped or that got stopped. We are still trying to get that back. So this is how technology is going to help us. Yeah.
So I think that is helpful. A lot of times, you're rushing towards the gate, not
Yeah.
because you don't want to eat, you don't have time to eat, but if there's someone who can come there and
So it's like how you present at the right place, and that's where in fact airport would work. And in fact technology will also play a very important role when I talk about artificial intelligence. That okay, on the domestic side you might find some loyalty because there are repeat flyers who are going to come, but international side, someone who's flown out will not going to come back so soon. So on the international side, your loyalty is slightly difficult because people are also reluctant to give their phone numbers, or they've got international numbers. So but here on the domestic side, you can still play around with that database, and you can offer something to them. And I was just very adding to, because I've had before TFS, I was with Big Bazaar also, and I'll just give you a very classical example how we used to look at the omni-channel piece, or how we also went to an extent of a 2-hour fashion delivery from our Big Bazaar stores. So that was also, but again, how the last mile inventory is visible is something which plays a very important role in doing that. So that is one thing. And give you a very good example. People were buying diapers from Big Bazaar. There was young parents who were buying diapers. Now, how to get them back into the store? So you give them an SMS that there is a 500 rupee M coupon for you, that you come and buy baby apparels. You buy for this much and you get a discount. So this is how you use technology, and we used to use, yes, data was, Customer-360 was a tool which we used to use to target this. And even if I have to do some 100 or 150 odd SMSs, and if I get a 3 or 4% conversion, that really made sense for us. So that was the way we used to get the footfall back into the stores. Someone who's buying diapers, he's coming weekly. Why don't make him spend extra in buying that baby apparel or something else? That's where I think even for apparels and other brands, if they can tie up together, and someone is into the fashion category, someone is into the beauty category, and if someone is buying during the festive season, you see the beauty category moves. It's a very personalized. If that customer can get a offer from major brands that okay, you shopped at this place and now this is something special for you, why don't you come at our store? So that will make a very, very big difference, and that will bring footfall to both of them. That's where I feel will be very, very important.
You touched upon dynamic pricing. Manish also touched about dynamic pricing. Right? I feel it's a very, and I'm just thinking about it, very tricky, because customers may or may not feel that thing coming in, right? That was this price like this sometime back, or there is an element of, do you think there's an element of dissatisfaction?
So on food, when you're not selling an MRP product, so this dynamic pricing really plays over. There was a bar concept which was I think in Delhi it had. So it just behaved, the menu screen just behaved like the stock market index. bar exchange. So during some time you'll see that a 60 ml pack of Black Label going on to this price, and then suddenly it comes down, and then I think this is adding. See, how you play with it is going to be important. So in our setup, it's so you don't have a loyal set of customers. You have passengers who has only 1.5 hour to be there at the airport. So that's where I think the difference is.
I also believe hunger plays a different role too.
Delay in a flight.
Yeah, delay in a flight, last minute food pangs, and you're late to the airport, you don't mind paying those prices.
Right, coming to Mukul, right, and just being at the airport, we discussed, and a lot of this was very interesting for me personally to see how much of it goes actually in that planning and how things are done. What are some of the strategies that you use apart from being there? You know, you're present, like I said, when you need water, you are the only one who's present. So what goes on in that planning, and how do you ensure that you have the right products at the right display available?
Yeah, before that, I would like to say that no external marketing works at a airport. So basically मैं बाहर marketing करके customer को अंदर नहीं बुला सकता, है ना? जिसके बाद ticket होगा वो the only customer can come and buy from our store and Manmeet store. So we are basically try to introduce new product, and the product which are in a trend, like in a evocus the kala pani, basically it's a alkaline water. वो विराट कोहली ने मार्केटिंग किया, देन हमारे स्टोर में डिमांड बढ़ गया उसका, तो हम लोगों ने वो प्लेसमेंट किया. Likewise, right now the Prime is the US brand running in a trend on a social media. So we are trying to capture those social media things in India, what is in a trend, and the globally what is in a trend. So global जो item होता है वो we can procure from the traders and try to place in our store as soon as we can do it. So these two things we are using, and one more thing we are doing an artifact like a souvenir basically. So we are doing making some story behind the product. So as likewise we are selling now brass bottle. So we are creating a story behind these. Ki what is the health benefit for all to buy or keep bottle in this bottle? So people are attracted to buy that particular product. So these 2-3 things we are using, and the availability of the main core product. So these 4 product strategy we are following to make the number.
And how the technology will help made availability or the pricing, the ATV, how we can increase the ATV, how we can predict the customer behavior. Of course, the research on the selecting of the product is based on the category research. They analyze the global markets, they analyze Indian market, then it come up with some of the new products like Mukul says the Prime. Now it's coming up. It's not in India as of now, but it's coming up. The technology will help to make the availability, to make the faster checkouts, and the advantage on the airport with the technology is because we have international customers. Comparatively, earlier there was considered as a smart. Now it's Indians are also the same way. So faster checkouts, self checkouts, mobile applications. These are the things which we had tried in the early stage, because the advantage of we have an airport with the international customers. So technology or AI maybe can help retailers where the customer has a little time. We cannot, the market, we cannot send the SMSs because the customers cannot come to our stores. So we have to made a research, then we have to maybe a little bit manipulate the customer at the time only, that very little time. So like Mukulji said, the story behind the souvenirs or maybe other products. So AI can help in the prediction of the customer expectations or the new products which may be required. It's a little early to say how, but like in availability or prediction based on the historical data, maybe something the AI will help in that way. Thank you. Thank you.
Just building upon from Mukul's point, right, and just giving some examples of, so fashion apparel is one of the industry who's really gone, I would say, matured in terms of maturity curve, been really advanced in terms of building this out. Boohoo, which is a UK retailer, essentially tracks down all of their customer and activities online as well as offline in terms of who's picking up, what they are picking up. And they are not a casual comer, they are party wear, very niche design sector, etc. And they have actually scaled up to almost a $1.52 billion revenue. By tracking all of this, in many ways, Shein, Zara, etc. have been able to do that because they've actually, Shein is a technology company which became a fashion retailer, right? And they've been able to do it because they've been picking up on what the customer is saying they want, rather than saying that let me decide and second guess for you what's best for you and come and tell you, right? And which is a fundamental shift of how it is being done. Imagine if you are able to look all of your historical sales on SKU by SKU basis and be able to fragment it into, what fabric, what silhouette, what color, what print is working in which region, in which cities, and then have AI create a wardrobe for you, for a person, for individual type of customers that you've segmented. And then you bring that, create a communication plan, which generative AI can also do it for you, and start marketing it. It's a complete game changer from a capability standpoint and what retailers and brands can actually achieve if they just start listening to the customer more often.
And listening to their own data. So
Yeah,
there is a lot of historical data that's already present, right? And you've touched upon a brilliant point that I was going to in terms of content generation. But before content, I think even on the product side, and I know hunger must be playing here as well because this is where, but if you're all okay, maybe just, one last topic that we can all talk about because this is super interesting. Can we actually get our product strategy itself aligned to what we thought has worked for us in the past or what has not worked for us in the past and make it more effective, right? Because we are reducing wastages and all of that. So anybody who would want to share their thoughts on that?
So first of all, since we're talking about customer centricity, and I think it's not something that you build overnight, or retailers just don't say that today I'll be customer centric and you start becoming a customer centric organization. You build that way, and however cliche it may sound, but it flows top down. And I think while the new age definitely talks a lot about data and how data can maximize, and it does, but it also evolves from the very fact that it has to be a blend of gut and data. Typically in the organizations that I've worked with, I think a lot of this used to come, and this in apparel, we have a culture of every back office person does not spend all 5 days in the back office. We ensure, and it's not like something where post induction you spend 3 days on the floor. Every single week, every team member is on the floor. So be it your merchandiser, be your allocator, be your logistics person, be your visual merchandiser, spends on the floor just to observe customer. That allocator typically knows what to allocate to a particular store, not depending only on his Excel sheets, but he also knows, okay, that customer goes to that community mall or that touristy mall and expects a different set of pricing, different set of products. So yes, data is something that we've started working on very extensively, and like the new age term is that data is the new oil. Yes, we do believe data is the new oil, but I think those human touch points and human experiences will play a far larger role. And then it can be definitely be backed up with data. And we've seen, we have our own loyalty program, which is known as Glove Apparel, has immensely helped us in reaching out to that consumer, where we spoke about that, how we reach out to doing those basket analysis to understand what a consumer is buying and how do we reach out to them on ongoing basis. So yeah, so that's the two bit I thought I wanted to add.
I'll definitely add to what was saying. Hello. So centricity, for me, I think, having worked with two, reputed brands, won't name the brands, but yes, they both had similar start. And after a decade, the first company, started shifting their focus from centricity to product. They became product centric. Like all, when you need scale, when you want to grow really fast. And then after that, the focus, finally they shifted to, they became profit centric, and that's when kind of the customer centricity start fading. That is not sustainable. And finally, that brand that has gone down. The second company is definitely Fab India, being a 60-year-old company. The primary agenda is always to be, customer centric. Interact with customers, be online, offline, live with customers. That's how the brand was started actually. So, like Sachin was saying, that complete team is always, in the market. Fab India team is also, designers or product development team. They are there at the store, observing what customer is looking for, interacting with customers. And like I mentioned earlier also, that there was a voice of customer activities, that was coffee with customers, that were beautiful interactions, those were happening and at local level. So sometimes the coffee with customer was happening in East Guwahati, sometimes in Chennai, sometimes in Pune, Chandigarh, so that was. And the preferences were captured beautifully. And finally, the allocations were also happening in that manner. So capturing data, and before pandemic, of course, when we were not using this Fab Family platform, that's our CRM. So that was happening, but in a very challenging manner. Now we have, visitor books, mail us. Definitely we get a lot of feedback from Instagram. Everything is, comes to our Fab Family program, and then, the range or the designs are created basis those feedback. Even the fits are rectified. I was heading menswear when I joined Fab India, and I got to know that Fab India kurtas are like bags. So the first job was to correct the fit of Fab India kurtas, because people were getting slimmer, they wanted more fitted clothes. But priority or the expectation still is comfort clothing. The majority of customer segment is expecting that only, and that has again come on on Instagram, through these meta platforms, through our mailers, through concierge, which was saying. So definitely this has to be captured, and AI, we were talking about AI. It is required. It is required for that personalized, service, so that somebody, you are looking for, something which is different from the basic ones. So, yeah, kalamkari kurtas, then it will be supplied through Omnichannel, or maybe, at the store, somebody will call you to shop, something like that.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Any
I'll just
thoughts?
add.
Yeah.
I think harnessing Gen AI will be possibly the next paradigm shift, and it's too much of power which is out there. People are still playing with it, but contextualizing it in your data and then harnessing that power, combining the social media trends that he just spoke about, bring it all together and leveraging that for hyper personalization, planning, optimization. There's so much of possibilities out there. I think that is something which is the next frontier that all of us will have to cross if we have to continue to differentiate. Yeah, I just wanted to.
Yeah. So,
while everyone here agrees that the tools for technological tools available are all available here, and we all agree that we need to move into this take the next journey towards technology adoption. But I think the key to success lies in adoption with agility. While you understand you need to do this, but how do you adopt it? So here I think the technology partners also need to take a extra step forward to assist in the adoption part and with agility.
You are absolutely right. People are doing today, which means obviously they have to keep innovating, and I think that agility here is also important. How quickly you are able to do that, and what is the right amount of demand at that point of time, right? When you are going to change, how much should go into production, how much possibly should not. So a lot of areas, and it will be good to keep hearing from all of you so that we continue to think of solutions that can help you in those specific areas, right? What I feel very fascinating is that each business, while it may sound similar, right, within apparel itself, everybody will have their own unique preferences and unique requirements, and what goes into that is a lot of hard work. So while technology is there, I know, and we were touching upon it, that human intervention is super critical at every single touch point, right? Because when it comes to buying, I feel people buy from people, but whatever it is, right?
Buyers would be extremely thankful to whoever develops an AI who gives them a predictive analysis on what kind of products are going to go out there in the market. Recently, I came across a brand called Anar. It sells on Myntra. You know what the product is? The product is bridal sneakers. Apparently, it sells for 14 to 15,000 rupees. Wedding, so it's a seasonal business, though. But you wouldn't imagine a wedding bride wearing a sneaker. But those sneakers are developed typically, and it's selling like crazy. Myntra is all gaga about it in terms of how well it is. And it started by Tanushri Biani's daughter of Kushal. And amazing. So it's an insight which I don't think many people have thought about, that bridal sneaker bikega kabhi. So yeah.
Thank you once again for sharing these insights, and happy to talk further while we move for lunch. Thanks.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Can we have